Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles. iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1. Joy Taylor is joining me. We are absolutely packed today from 1 hour. NFL Meat Sandwich, Greg Cosell. LeBron and the Lakers starts tonight. Dodgers won yesterday. Get to that in a second. We have all sorts of sports. October's an incredible time of the year. Last night was wild drama and great storylines everywhere. So let's talk about, like this happens every postseason in baseball, there is the controversial play. And it didn't need to be a controversial play. Jose Altuve, last year's MVP, unbelievable talent, at home, hits a 97-mile-an-hour seed over the wall. Mookie Betts, outfielder for the Red Sox, probably this year's MVP, arguably. They got two guys that could be for the Red Sox. He goes up. He's about to make a catch, and a ball, and the fans, and it's crazy. And Joe West, the older, heavy-set umpire who had a lousy view, came up and said, that is an out because there was fan interference. Okay, first of all, don't blame the fans. If a ball is heading to you and you're a fan at 115 miles an hour, you're going to put your hands out. I don't want to hear anybody blaming a fan. I'm not sure if anybody is, but it's human instinct. Fans, when the ball's hit near the wall and they have front row seats, they reach for the ball. Of course they do. It's going 115 miles an hour. But this never needed to be controversial. Why not just let the entire play out? Let it play out. Never get in the way of great athletes potentially doing great things. There was no reason to make that call. Joe West had a lousy view. Even on replay, I can't tell exactly what happens. If I took 100 calls right now, 50 would say interference, 50 would say not. Everybody in Houston would say home run. Everybody in Boston says they got it right. Now, there is a ground rule double rule in baseball. You can't use it here because the ball didn't hit the ground first. I wish you could split the difference. But the bigger issue is don't get in the way in an NBA Finals. Don't get in the way in the Super Bowl. Don't get in the way in the ALCS of great players doing great stuff. Let it play out and then go to the replay. If you didn't see it in real time, if you didn't see it live, here it is.
Altuve, right field, back there. Betts at the track. He leaps, and it is out. It's off a fan. No, they're saying off of Betts. It is in play. They may be calling it interference. I'm trying to get a read on the right field umpire here. And out is the call. Wow. Wow. Boy, does this game ever start with some controversy. That is a tough call to make.
It didn't need to be made. Let it play out. Use the satellites and the replays later. But you don't stop last year's MVP and this year's MVP in the middle of it. Just a wild scene in Houston. Get out of the way. Let the bird in the sky figure out the rest. Brutal. You ever gone out on a date and the waiter keeps coming over too often? And you're like, dude, come on. You're overwaiting. And the wait staff keeps coming over, and you're like, I'm trying to create a little momentum here. You can be a waiter, and you can get in the way of a date, of a night, of the pace. Joe West got in the way of that thing. 3 terrible things happened there. First of all, you stopped a wild, oh my God, play in the ALCS. You stopped it. The second thing is, you didn't have a very good view on it, and you still made a call. That's bad. Third, you became the focal point, Joe West, not Mookie Betts and not Jose Altuve. That's the worst of the 3. Do you know what the NFL did? The NFL's figured this out. They just let a play go, and then they come back and look at it. But they don't get in the middle of the play. And it took them a while to figure this out in football, but they've figured it out. They're not the waiter that comes up and keeps interrupting. You want more bread? Can you get more water? You could get out of here. I'd be happier.
Anytime you're talking about
you're
mentioning an umpire or a referee's name
you failed.
After a playoff game, something went wrong.
Something went wrong. And the NFL has learned this. And I would say this. If you do this on a Tuesday night in a Denver Nuggets-Sacramento Kings game, but an umpire and an official has to realize sports rarely gives us superstars in the moment doing super things. You want to be invisible. And unfortunately, Joe West was the most visible. And baseball's already got an action problem due to analytics, not enough base runners, Too many home run strikeouts. They've already got an action problem. This was unbelievable action, and you stopped it. It was an OMG moment. You stopped it. And the NFL figured something else out. The NFL had that catch rule for 10 years, and then they just changed the catch rule. And the reason they did is because they wanted to reward great athletes doing great things. You play fantasy football. They want to reward you, the fans. They want to reward the people in the stadium. They didn't want to reward the ground. Nobody buys a jersey in the back of it says, ground. That's my favorite player, ground. No, it has Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Brady. So the NFL said, let's flip the catch rule so the star is who we talk about, not the ground. I mean, we were watching NFL games for a decade talking about the ground. Nobody buys a jersey for the ground. Okay, Des Bryant is who you should be talking about. I spent 4 days talking about the ground in Lambeau. Hard to sell the jersey for the ground. Last night I'm talking about Joe West. I'm talking about fans. I'm talking about interference. I should be talking about Mookie Betts and Jose Altuve. That's who I should be talking about. And the NFL has figured this out. I mean, it just drives me crazy. And there was no perfect camera angle. And that's the thing in baseball, is that we created all these centers, these umpire centers, these official centers in New York, and the NHL, it's in Toronto. And you created them to eliminate these. But the umpires and the officials should get the hell out of the way and let guys do what they do, which is Jose Altuve rakes and Mookie Betts fields. And now it should be noted, I don't think this was early in the game. By the way, Boston's been better defensively. Boston's had the better bullpen. Boston had 108 wins. I think Boston this year is the better team, like Houston was the best team in baseball last year. And they've even had a disadvantage. Chris Sale couldn't pitch last night. He was in the hospital. So it's not like everything has gone Boston's way, but Boston made 2 great plays last night defensively. Betts made one later, catch at the end of the game. They've had the better defense. They've had the better bullpen. But God, Joe West, baseball's got an action problem. Don't make it worse. Let stuff play out. Stop coming up to me if you're a waiter. Do you need more bread? I'll flag you down if I do. Trying to connect here with the missus here, okay? Meanwhile, across the street in Houston, the Rockets were terrible and gave up 131 points, the most points they've given up in the regular season since Mike D'Antoni got there. That's the most. Not so coincidentally, Carmelo Anthony is now a member of the Rockets. Melo arrives, chemistry goes into the toilet, and he doesn't play defense. Here's what's amazing about this. Is that Houston does 2 or 3 things well. They shoot threes well. Oh, it's the one thing Carmelo can't do. Last year, we gave him credit because they started really finely playing defense. Yeah, he's crappy at that. Well, at least, you know what? Last year, we all worried about Harden and Chris Paul's chemistry. Melo's on his 3rd team in 3 years. It's inexplicable to me. Houston is known as the anti-mid-range jumper team. It's the only thing Melo does. We gave him credit last year because they finally played defense. He's terrible at it. And oh, by the way, the one thing we really worried about the Rockets was chemistry. Chris Paul, Harden worked perfectly. It's probably his #1 weakness. Carmelo Anthony has become Will Smith, the actor. He does Men in Black, Independence Day. He's got some early success. Carmelo went to title at Syracuse. He gets the Denver Nuggets to the Western Conference Championship. He has a little success. And 10 years later, we're still living off that. Stop trying to convince me in 2018 Carmelo Anthony's a great player. He's not. You got to shoot threes. He can't. Don't shoot mid-range jumpers. It's all he does well. Defense now matters on the perimeter. He's awful. Chemistry, stars playing together has become the new trend in the NBA. Yeah, he didn't get along with anybody. He's Will Smith. He had this run for about 6 years, and everybody's like, woo-wee.
Let's not discount Fresh Prince.
Okay, Fresh Prince. And then Independence Day. And then Men in Black. And that's been bomb.
Pursuit of Happiness was good.
Melo and Will Smith have figured one thing out. How to make money. They are great at making money because they're not making hits. They're not winning games. They're not getting me to a box office. They're not getting you to the finals. But those guys have figured out how to make money. Maybe there's a rule in life. Be really successful early, and then you can just quit working. because I can't figure out Houston, all the things they're great at, and we finally gave them a pat on the back for, they went the other way. Finally played defense. Let's get Melo. Finally had great chemistry. Let's get Melo. Finally got the 3 down. Let's get Melo. He doesn't fit any of those. And they got boxed last night, and their front court defense was terrible. Okay, so we got all sorts of stuff today. LeBron James debuts tonight in Portland. So a little gift for Portland. That'll be kind of historic night in Portland. LeBron James and the Lakers debuts. And why you have to root for the Dodgers. If you like baseball, why you have to root for the Dodgers. That's coming up. Everybody knows Untucked shirts. Wear them all the time. Untucked shirts are designed to be worn untucked. And it doesn't matter if you're tall or short, thin or wide, long torso guy. It doesn't matter. This is what they do. This is the industry. This is their business. Designing shirts for all sorts of guys, tall, thin guy, short, wide guy, doesn't matter. To fall at the right length. A refined, casual look that falls at the perfect length. All you have to do is go to untuckit.com. They got their fall, winter, and spring styles in right now. Promo code is HERD, H-E-R-D, for 20% off their purchase. Untuckit has 25 retail locations across America. So untuck yourself and unslop yourself and unsmock yourself, regardless of shape, size, height, width, does not matter. Untuckit.com. GQ, which is one of those magazines with models and stuff, calls Untuckit perfection. Untuckit.com, code HERD.
Kevin here says Mobile One annual protection is proven to protect for 20,000 miles.